Good morning, everyone. I am SuperDerek, and it's time for your JRPG update. And oh boy, have we got something to talk about today, guys. I don't know if you guys knew this, but PAX South happened last week, and on Friday, there was a big announcement. A really big announcement that I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for ages, but it came in a way you didn't really hope or expect. So, well, without beating around the bush any longer, let's talk about Trails of Cold Steel 3 finally got announced, guys. It's coming. It's coming in, I think it was the fall of this year. Hooray! Only problem was, for a lot of people, they were really upset because XSEED, the people who localized Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2 and did a beautiful job at it, by the way, are not involved this time around, instead handing the reins over to Nippon Ichi Software of America, NISA. And this had, you could say it had people upset. That would be kind of an understatement. People were livid about this revelation. Well, I shouldn't say people. Some people. Lots of people. And not a very vocal group of people, I'll say. A very vocal group of people were pretty upset about this for a good long while. Oh, man, guys. Because, I guess, I understand Nippon Ichi Software. There's a lot to unpack with them. They've got a bit of a mixed history. Just with even what I know of the release of Ys 8, that I can understand why people would be a bit miffed. The original release of Ys 8 was in such bad shape that they actually had to publicly apologize for it and spent another year relocalizing the game, bringing it up to their standards for, the PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 4 releases. And then, the PC port of the game was, and still is to this day, a bit of a train wreck, depending on what your configuration is. So, I totally get it why people would be really upset. On the other hand, the fact that they did release an apology and actually did follow through and make the localization, eventually good, and the Switch release, while it also had to be patched, was also, in my opinion, totally fine. So while they were able to make it right, it did suck that, that they ended up having this problem with the Ys 8 release. So I can understand why a lot of people were really upset. I don't know if Trails of Cold Steel, when it does get taken over, if it's gonna come to PC, and if it is coming to PC, how much you should be interested in buying this. PC gamers beware, because you never really know what you're gonna get. Whatever you do, don't pre-order. Actually, as a matter of fact, don't pre-order any of this. Just as a rule of thumb, never pre-order anything. But then we got a little bit of additional news that made things a little bit better, guys. And you may have already heard this, especially if you're a huge fan of Trails of Cold Steel. And that is that this localization by Nippon Ichi Software America is actually going to feature localization staff from XSEED. So, yeah, that includes Brittany Avery, also known as Hatsu, over on Twitter, who is at least one of the localizers who put her heart and soul into this series so far, and to see her make her way over to the new localization staff should be a really good indicator that XSEED is, well, that Nippon Ichi Software is going to do everything in their power to make this a good release. Hopefully that oh gosh, guys, it's a lot to unpack, right? It's kind of a whirlwind of events that's going on here, and I really hope that this means that Trails of Cold Steel 3 gets the localization that it deserves. Though some people have said that the problem with Nippon Ichi Software has never been its localization staff, it's been its management. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's one of those wait and see moments. I've already said to others that I'm going to withhold judgment until we see the final product, and until then, all we can do is sit, wait, and hope. But regardless, this really changes the situation around, because a lot of people weren't even expecting us to ever see Trails of Cold Steel 3. So the fact that we are, and that it's not being done in the way that we would have preferred, or by the company that we might have preferred, still is a really good thing. So it's a net positive, right? And that also just opens a whole other question that I have now that I've heard about this. It sounds like XSEED has been kind of losing a lot of its senior localization staff for a while. We talked about this several weeks ago. I can't remember the names of the people who left anymore, but before this, leading into this, 3 of their senior localization staff members had resigned within the span of like 3 months. Wow, that's a lot, and it makes you kind of wonder. At least it makes me wonder: is there something else going on over at XSEED that may, prompt people to leave? Are they underpaying staff? I hope not. Obviously anything that I see here is pure conjecture. It's just my mind reels with the stuff that might be going on behind the scenes. I can't help it. That's just my inquisitive nature, and it'd be really nice to hear from the staff members who are making the transition what prompted this. Aside from the fact that XSEED definitely lost the reins on the project, I totally understand Brittany Avery making her way over to Nipponichi Software America, since this was her jam. She belongs with this franchise for sure. And the other question is this going to make Nipponichi Software better, or is this just going to make XSEED worse? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. It's a very interesting shakeup that happened this weekend, and the effects of it will definitely be felt from here forward. You know, the roles of XSEED versus Nipponichi Software America, those roles that we kind of have seen establish themselves over the last 5-10 years, well, those could change. So fingers crossed that this doesn't affect any other game franchises that you guys are fans of. What do you think? Is this all overall a net positive? Is this going to make Nipponichi Software and XSEED more competitive with one another? Are we going to see things improve from here, or are we only going to see things get worse? I don't know. But I want to hear what you have to say about this, guys, down in the comments below. And also, I'll have another question at the end of the video with the question of the week toward the end. But I'll get to that later. Before we do that, though, we have some new games and port announcements. I'm going to see if I can not go off the rails this time, making my way through these. Of course, we got the announcement of the Trails of Cold Steel 3 that's coming to PlayStation 4 for the United States and European, for the United States and Europe in fall of 2019. And then also we've got an interesting announcement from Bandai Namco here that they've got an action RPG called, well, currently it's called Project Z, that's been announced for, well, it actually hasn't really been announced with very much info yet, but it's an action RPG. It's a Dragon Ball Z action RPG, probably kind of along the lines of Xenoverse. Except maybe with the Z in there, maybe it's going to, I don't know, use the FighterZ engine or something, the FighterZ engine. How do you even pronounce that? Is it FighterZ? Like, I don't know. I mean, there's no space between Fighter and Z, so maybe it's FighterZ. I haven't actually played it. So if they like scream the way it's pronounced at the intro, I would never know, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. There's going to be more information on this Project Z, coming out in January on the 26th and 27th over at the FighterZ World Tour. Okay, I'm going to stop saying the name of that other game that I can't pronounce yet. You can tell me how I'm doing it, how I should do it, in the comments below. Anyway, so those are the big announcements that actually happened, but we also have some release date updates. Especially here's one from Lapis X Labyrinth that's going to be released in May 28th in North America and May 31st in Europe. We also have Record of Agarest War, Mariage or Marriage. It's like the word marriage with an E at the end. Anyways, it was originally a PlayStation Portable game that never got released in the States. Well, now it's coming out on PC on February 1st. So if you're a fan of Agarest War, you could definitely check that out when it launches. And then also, here's something from Bethesda. And I normally don't cover MMO news, but this is kind of interesting to me. And that is that Elder Scrolls Online Elsewhere is releasing sometime this summer. And Elsewhere, for those of you who don't know, which is totally possible that you guys haven't been playing through the Elder Scrolls series, Elsewhere is where all the Khajiits are from, and I believe this is the first time you actually get to explore that in a game, which is going to be pretty cool. And I'm not going to play it, but I might, watch some videos of people play it so I can get a feel for the landscape and kind of get a feel for the lore, because I feel like the world in which the Elder Scrolls series takes place is really interesting and unique. I really want to see Black Marsh, and there's a lot of other areas that you just never see, and it would be really cool to actually see some of that in fully realized 3D or whatever. Anyways, we have some new games that are coming out this week, guys, starting with La Grande Legacy Tale of Fate Bounds, which is coming out on Switch. As Divine Hearts 2 is also coming out on Nintendo Switch this week, and also Kingdom Hearts VR Experience, which is coming to PS4. I have no idea what what the VR experience is. I actually haven't seen any trailers. Yeah, trailers. I haven't seen any teasers or trailers for that. So I guess I'll be looking at a few of those a little bit later on when I'm editing this. And I think that's about it for today, guys. But let me leave you with this week's question of the week. And this week's question is, what RPG, this is probably going to start some fights, and I apologize in advance, but what RPG or series, what specific RPG has the best soundtrack? Yeah. What's the best soundtrack to just listen to or just pulls at your heartstrings all the more than any other game? What stands out? And that's such a hard question for me to answer, so I feel kind of bad asking you this question, but I'm kind of curious about what you guys think. I have a very soft spot in my heart for the obvious Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross, and I feel like that's kind of a cop-out, but then I also thought, I feel like Persona 5 has introduced me to a whole genre of music that I didn't know that I had liked before, which also really makes it just seem really unique for an RPG soundtrack. And man, it'd be really interesting to see other games, like new games, introduce people to new genres that they wouldn't typically associate with the genre. Like I don't know, maybe opera, that'd be kind of interesting, or maybe ska punk. That would be really, really weird, but I would play the hell out of that. Anyways, what do you think? What is the best RPG soundtrack out there, guys? And I will talk to you guys next week. And maybe I'll do the Kingdom Hearts 2 review this week. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it, but we'll see. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I am SuperDerek, and this was all news to me.